So Brennan, if you are ready, I am going to play a game with you called Whose Side Are You On?
I got it. Let's go.
And I have taken some suggestions about pets specifically in the sense of financials and budgeting from RamseySolutions.com. So Dave Ramsey, we met on his social media, on his Instagram post. What are your thoughts before we go into this on Dave Ramsey's plans? Are you a fan? Are you do you buy in fully? Kind of, sort of? Tell me.
I'm Dave Ramsey-ish.
Okay.
So I think that he has a very good idea of finances, but finance is not one size fits all. And that's kind of what his brand presents. Now, with that being said, do I like his idea? Most of it, yes. But again, he would call me Dave Ramsey-ish because I don't fall within that cult-like following per se. But I do really respect him. And I think he has a lot of great stuff to offer. They've even interviewed me at one point in time in the past to bring me on, and I actually declined politely to remain with my own brand. So talked with Deloitte, talked with Anthony O'Neill, great people there. Love everyone that's involved, and they're awesome. However, I think that you need to look at each person's individual situation and assess the needs that individual needs. And I think most reasonable people can agree with that. At the same time, he's talking to a mass audience, to millions and millions of people. It's hard to say, in this situation, this, in this situation, that. So I understand where he's coming from. But that's my take on Ramsey in general.
Okay, so we are kind of Dave Ramsey-ish. I have his book. Chris gave it to my husband. Chris gave it to me after he read it. Chris is a huge fan of Dave Ramsey, so by no means is the following information any kind of a dig on Dave Ramsey. On the contrary, my husband's kind of spendy, and if it wasn't for Dave Ramsey, we'd be in the poorhouse, no doubt about it. So thank you, Dave Ramsey and co, because I genuinely think that you have awesome advice. However, Dave Ramsey and I, or Ramsey Solutions and I, differ in these situations that I'm going to share with you. So the first one for this game, and you're going to tell me whose side you're on, is Dave Ramsey says to buy bulk dry food and throw it in a bowl. This is a quote. Your dog or cat doesn't need a 5-course feast. They just need food. But many pet experts, myself included, would say that bulk dry dog food is killing our pets. It's actually causing chronic diseases and costing us more money in vet visits in the long run. Whose side are you on?
I'm on your side on that one.
Thank you. I love it. I agree that we need to be conscious, because he does say now there's refrigerated dog food and there's this and that. I do think we can't go and just buy the best food we need. We wouldn't do that for ourselves either. We're not going to go to the best restaurant. Maybe we're going to go to a restaurant we can afford. So I do think there's some budgeting involved, but please guys, if you can afford something better than bulk dry food for your pets, invest. Consider it an investment. Okay, next one. Dave Ramsey says, again, quote, if your pet requires an expensive operation one day, ask for paid in cash discounts and save up for a few months first. But whatever you do, don't go into debt for it. End quote. I would say that a life-saving operation for an otherwise healthy dog with a good prognosis is non-negotiable, and many operations can't be put off until you've saved the money for it. So I personally would speak to my vet and see if we could work together, come up with other solutions, but I might actually go into a small amount of debt to make it happen if I knew that I could pay that off in the next, maybe few months instead of saving for it and delaying a much needed operation. Whose side are you on?
Absolutely your side. I think there's context to every one of these things that I would like to kind of elaborate on if that's part of the game.
Absolutely.
So I do think that pets are emotional, right? They're your kids almost, right? And so I think a lot of times people go overboard because of emotion, and sometimes things aren't actually needed and they justify it through that. Now, if you can look at it objectively, which is really hard with your own pets, then I think that's where you draw the line saying, okay, do they really need this, or could we delay it maybe a month or two to make this reasonable? Right. I think that's where I draw the line.
Absolutely. Always speak to your veterinarians about One, your financial situation, because veterinarians understand they too have mortgages and bills and kids and dogs and expenses, and they run businesses, so they very much understand. Two, definitely speak to them if they have paid in cash discounts. Speak to them if they have any organizations that you can contact to help you if you really, really, really can't afford the operation. Don't neglect your pet. Don't neglect your finances. There are ways to get creative, and maybe speak to a financial advisor like Brennan, who helps you figure out what the right answer is for you in that specific situation. Next one. Dave Ramsey says, when searching for a veterinarian, quote, don't just pick the one closest to home. You want someone with great pet side manner, which was cute, little pun, and great prices. You can get both. I don't disagree with that. However, I would say that in today's environment where vets are actually slammed and it's hard to get appointments and it's hard to go see them and gas prices are so high, I feel like you should also consider the location of your veterinarian so that it can be more feasible to take your pet to the vet and not like a huge cross city, an hour in traffic to reach your vet. So I think pet side manner, prices, and location. What do you think?
I think we need to give Ramsey a chance to speak on this. But I do agree with you because there's obviously context. But I think that makes a lot of sense. What you're saying, and I even think he would agree with that. To be honest, I think he would go one step further to say that it's probably reasonable.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think this might have not been written when like gas prices were like
right now they're
what they are now. And traffic in cities is getting so bad too.
Right.
All right. Dave Ramsey says the most annoying part of pet ownership might be paying for a sitter. If you know anything about my background, I was a professional pet sitter business owner for 12 years. So this is my heart rate is literally getting elevated as I say this. Dave Ramsey says, if you can't get a neighborhood kid to come by over to your house on the cheap, you may have to bite the bullet and board your pet when you go out of town. I say that you should never get a neighborhood kid to come over on the cheap, because if the pet hurts that child, now you're gonna get sued. If the child trips and breaks his nose, now you are going to be liable because it happened in your home. I believe that you should budget for your pet's care, proper care with a professional when planning your vacations. Whose side are you on?
I'm trying to disagree with you in some way here, but I agree with you 100%. And my mind as a CPA instantly went to umbrella insurance.
Yes.
I think that's an excellent ad here because of, hey, if a dog does eat or bite a kid, who knows what happens? But if they bite a kid, they bite somebody, they injure somebody, umbrella insurance could really be helpful there.
Absolutely. Thank you for adding that. Is excellent advice. And I will say, a lot of pet parents are like, my dog would never. As somebody who works professionally, dogs will bite.
I used to say that.
Exactly. Well, you have a German Shepherd mix.
I changed my whole set, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and you have a young child, so make sure you because we all think our pets won't, but they will, because it's just, there's so many dynamics. And I have a very good friend in the pet sitting industry who just got attacked by a dog, and that person has been in the industry for 15 years and knows dogs, has a ton of experience, has done thousands upon thousands of annual visits with strange dogs. She just got attacked. We just saw in the news a pet sitter who was relatively new to the industry. The dogs ate her face off. Okay, guys, like, this is not stuff to take lightly. These things do happen. So have either a professional who is bonded, insured, etc., or like Brennan suggested, make sure your insurance would cover any kind of incident before you just go cheap and find the kid next door.
I have zero confidence in my dogs with anything. They are not well behaved. So I'm taking care of them and making sure insurance is covering everything.
Exactly. You know what? I had a reactive dog for a really long time, and having a dog that can bite, because we all do, but when you know that they have a bite history, it's so scary. And you definitely, that's when you start looking at insurance and saying, should I muzzle this dog when I go outside? And we did for a long time on my Sox, who recently passed away. All right, next one. This one I'm more comfortable with, I will say. Dave Ramsey says, swap pet sitting with your neighbors. When they're out of town, you can pop over and feed their cat and change the litter. And in return, they can swing by to walk your pup and refill their food bowl when you're on vacation. It's a budget-friendly win-win for everyone. And this is what I say. I say this sounds ideal and wonderful, but the example he gives is a cat-owning family taking care of a dog and a dog-owning family taking care of a cat. I happen to specialize in both cats and dogs, and they're entirely different species with entirely different needs. And a person who has a dog may not notice how quickly a cat can get sick. And a person that has a dog may not be adequately just educated enough to properly care for a cat. So I would say this is a good idea if it's the same species, or if the person has really good experience with your pet. I trust my neighbors. I love my neighbors, but I have a professional pet sitter because I don't want to have to deal with my neighbors making a mistake and then having to see them.
I think I agree on this with you for sure here, but I always feel bad leaving my dogs here alone and having somebody stop in for them. I'd rather have a professional person come bring them to their house and take care of them there personally.
Oh, that's a really good option. So I completely am for pet sitters taking them into their home as long as they're reputable and have great experience. I've done shows on that where people do have like a really great setup in their own home. I also have no reservations for a really high quality boarding facility either. In-home pet care is what my dogs have always experienced because I had an in-home pet care company and it was so easy for me to, the people I'd hired literally to care for my clients' pets would care for my pets. But that doesn't mean that in the future I wouldn't board them or whatever. It's just my dogs are used to that. And actually 3 visits a day with really good enrichment and engagement is enough for my dogs. My dogs don't need any more than that. But if you have like a young dog or a high energy dog, I totally agree that there are other better options. I just don't think it's the neighbor.
Yeah, no way.
Guys, think about it.
Close to home.
Think exactly too close to home, Dave Ramsey. I don't know. You must have much better neighbors than I do. And I love my neighbors. I have to tell you, but I don't know that I would let them just, take care of my pets. Next one. Dave Ramsey says, invest in grooming tools, bring up a tutorial on YouTube, and then do the work yourself at home. I say that the skills that professional groomers have are actually developed over a lot of coursework and a lot of years of experience and, tutorials and one-on-one work with their mentors. So I don't feel like the average pet parent is going to be able to recreate anything. And you could hurt your pet. Like if you go too short on the nails, if you clip them by mistake, you don't especially want to deal with mats on your own. So I do think that there is space for that, but for most grooming, I highly recommend a professional groomer.
Yeah, we've tried this multiple times and our dogs bite us, so we just send them to the groomer now.
Ding, ding, ding. Groomers just know how to approach. They can read body language. They've learned it the hard way. I think professional groomers are worth their weight in gold, and I don't feel like they're that expensive. And when they are expensive, and when they're expensive, say cat grooming can be a little more expensive because cats are a little more of a liability. They don't have to go that often. So I feel like there's a balance there that you can do without DIYing it. Okay, so then the last one, and I will say that Dave Ramsey does say, but if that sounds like a DIY fail waiting to happen, then just get a good brush to help keep your pet well groomed between their grooming appointments. And I have to say, bravo, Ramsey Solutions. That is excellent advice. Excellent advice.
I love it.
You don't have to go as often and you can keep more cash in your pockets. I do agree that regular brushing will prevent too many grooming visits and the really long ones with mats that they have to cut. I had the Charleston cat groomer on the show recently, and she told me about a cat that was so matted they actually had to surgically remove the mats.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, that'll save you money. Brush your pets.
Our shepherd mix sheds so much. We take him outside. We start doing it every once in a while, probably at least once a month.
Yeah. I don't brush my dogs. That's my husband's job. That's like literally one of our, I'm like, you do it. Because he came into the relationship with 2 dogs. I came into the relationship with 2 dogs. The one that sheds the most was originally his dog, so it's his job. But yes, brushing is super important for everybody. I mean, this show is called Covered in Pet Hair. Trust me, we brush plenty here. And then I have the last one from Dave Ramsey. Dave Ramsey, and again, it's not Dave Ramsey specifically. This is a blog on his website. Okay. Dave Ramsey says, need to pick up pet waste? You know the kind. Whether you're scooping litter or picking up presents your dog left in the neighbor's lawn, don't pay for fancy bags. Instead, just recycle all those plastic bags from the grocery store. I say that the cost of biodegradable bags is actually really negligible compared to all the other expenses we face with our pets, and the cost of plastics on our environment is just too great to ignore. I recycle my grocery bags whenever I use them, which is not often, at the grocery store so they can use them to make new bags. And I personally buy truly biodegradable bags from the Poop Bag Girl, who is a personal friend of mine and makes truly biodegradable bags. She's given my audience a discount code. There are ways to get good quality biodegradable bags at a good price. So I don't think that Dave and I agree on this. Whose side are you on?
So I have a tip for you guys. If you guys go to most parks, any dog park, any like type of park that kid park, there are almost always bags up there. I'm not saying take them all, but I'm saying maybe stuff your pockets.
You can never have too many bags. As a former professional pet sitter and dog walker, every single pocket that I ever reached into always had a bag in it. My back pocket, my coat pocket, my purse pocket, always. You never have enough. And if you have babies, those bags also come in very handy when you have a messy diaper to discard, but you don't have anywhere to put it immediately.
Absolutely. Yep. I've been there.